Hello, welcome to Plants Are My Therapy. Today we're going to rescue this plant. We're going to rescue this philodendron. This philodendron was left at a friend's rental after the tenants had moved back to the mainland. And I'm going to repot this plant. I'm going to propagate this plant by cuttings and leaf cuttings. And I'm going to propagate this philodendron in water and in soil. I already trimmed this plant and harvested some cuttings, and this plant is now enjoying bright indirect light where it can recover. This is why philodendrons make one of the best house plants, because they're very hardy. When I first found this plant, it was hanging in a westbound window, bone dry, having to endure harsh direct sunlight. Philodendrons can tolerate low light. They prefer bright indirect light. But after all this plant's been through, it's actually doing pretty good. These are the cuttings that I took from the plant, and I'm going to demonstrate how easy they are to propagate. All you need is a couple of cups of water. I'm going to stabilize this cup of water in this vase. I don't want to just put the cuttings in this vase because the vase is too deep, and if the cuttings go down, they're going to rot. Same with the leaf cuttings. I'm going to recycle the cover for this Starbucks cup, and that's going to prevent the leaves from sinking in. I don't want to waste my time, and I don't want to be checking it all the time. For the cuttings that already have roots, I'm just going to trim it back, and I'm going to propagate it directly in soil. Although this cutting has roots, have established roots, I don't want to overburden it with too many leaves. These type of leaves, the way I cut them, would not make good leaf cuttings. I'll show you how to make the leaf cuttings later. I'm going to put this cutting aside until we're ready to pot. The most difficult thing about propagating a philodendron cutting versus a leaf cutting, in a cutting you have to orient yourself to where the proximal end of the philodendron started. You have to identify where the center of the plant started. The cutting closest to the roots is the part that you want to propagate in water or in soil. Otherwise, it won't grow. Propagating philodendrons versus other vining plants like pothos. The philodendrons are, well, they'll curl up. Tendrils will seek the sun and the best position to get the sun, so they'll curl up and tangle. So it'll be harder to determine which side is up, which side is down, or which side is proximal, which side is distal. So the best thing to do is to find the tip, the growing end of the vine or the tendril, then work your way back and cut the proximal end or the growing end that was closest to the plant. Two nodes that will develop roots and two nodes that will have leaves to give energy to the plant. The best thing to do if you don't know which end is proximal and which end is distal, just make leaf cuttings. Do not cut the leaf off the tendril. Do not cut the leaf off the cutting. Cut the cutting about a quarter of an inch above and below the leaf, so you preserve the node. And philodendrons are poisonous to cats. So, well, if the cat is too stupid enough to eat a poisonous plant, then it's too stupid to catch a rat, which makes it useless. So that's another good thing to get a philodendron. I love cats. They are friendly, they are a good companion, they are good stress relief, but they have a job to do, and that's to keep rodents and vermin out of the house. If you have concerns that your cat may eat your plant, there's a lot of tropical plants that are just too poisonous for cats. And philodendrons is one of them. But my cat seems to know, because he leaves the pothos, the philodendrons, the peace lilies, the Chinese evergreens alone, but he wreaks havoc on the spider plants. In spite of being able to poison your cat, philodendrons are very good houseplants. They purify the air, they can tolerate low to bright indirect light. They make the house look fresher. They're easy to care for. They're very forgiving if you forget to water them. They're easy to propagate if you want more of them. Philodendrons, especially this is the Brazil philodendron, and it's one of the nicer versions of the philodendron. It's like the heart leaf philodendron, except it has that little flare of color in the middle. In case you missed how to cut a leaf cutting, I'm gonna show you again. This is basically how you do it. You don't cut the leaf off the tendril, you cut the tendril in proximal to the leaf node. Now that I have the cuttings and the leaf cuttings propagating in water, I'm going to propagate the other cuttings in soil. And that's how easy it is. You just cut the leaf cuttings and put them in water. Now as for this tendril, since it's long and has the roots already established, I'm going to plant it deep. And the soil mixture is a porous soil, which is 2 parts of potting soil, 1 part of vermiculite, which is for drainage, moisture, and aeration, 1 part of cinder, which is for drainage and aeration, and a half a part of orchid bark, which is to help keep the nutrients in the soil instead of being washed out with the drainage water. So on the top layer, I'm going to put just plain potting soil, and I'm going to stick the leaf node inside the plain potting soil. I put the plain potting soil as the top layer of soil because my potting mixture has perlite in it, and some plants I put vermiculite, but both perlite and vermiculite are volcanic glasses that are superheated to be really soft and porous. After frequent watering, those things are going to float to the top and cause a layer of moist perlite or vermiculite, which will attract gnats or slugs. So that's why I only put a layer of just plain potting soil on the top layer. And once the leaf cuttings take hold and send down roots, they'll send it down to the more porous part of the soil. Finally, I top the pot with sand, and the sand will help secure the leaf cuttings, and it will make an easier barrier for when the leaf cuttings send up sprouts, new plants. Watch how the water agitates the sand to mix with the potting soil, which will make a more denser layer to protect the plant, to secure the plant, and to decrease the rate of evaporation. In my experience, it only takes the philodendron only a couple of days in soil propagation to orient all the leaves upwards, or at least in one direction, to look like a really nice plant. And in a couple of weeks, it will look really nice, and then within a few months it's going to look like a gorgeous plant, as long as you keep it in indirect light. And the brighter the indirect light, the more faster the philodendron will grow. As far as the water clippings, the water cuttings will sprout within a week, significant roots within a week. The leaf cuttings will take a little longer, but they also will take about a week. The roots won't be as significant, but they will be adequate enough to propagate into soil. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like this video, please subscribe to my channel, and feel free to leave comments below. It's very encouraging. I hope you were able to learn from my trials and errors, and thank you again for watching. Aloha.